Planetside 2 is basically the world's only MMO FPS, and that's why I play it. Actually, I play it a lot. A lot more than I should, given the many shoddy elements of its design, and critically speaking, it's not a great game. It's mediocre at best. So my reasons for playing it are basically a combination of lack of alternatives and the fact that my former go-to FPSs, Call of Duty and Battlefield, have been destroyed by their publishers such that it's not really defensible for me to buy them anymore. But the sad state of the FPS market is a different topic, so let me get on to what this is really about. Now, PS2's bases have never been exactly great, and a lot of them have very outdated design. Tech plants and amp stations are basically indistinguishable from when the game first came out. Biolabs still contain many of the same layouts, and many other bases have basically not changed at all, especially bases that aren't often fought at, like those near warp gates. Those that have changed have unfortunately been a victim of a sort of casualization in which the bases are designed so as to segregate the base first from ground vehicles, and then the interior of the base is basically just a battle arena, where two teams run about performing what is largely Battlefield-style twitch positional combat. And yes, I just made that phrase up, but if you think about it, it is an apt description. And if one team keeps control of a central control point for a few minutes, they get the base. Now, there isn't anything wrong with Battlefield-style combat. I mean, I used to play Battlefield. But what I'm seeing is a missed opportunity. Planetside throws far more people into a fight at once than Battlefield, and occurs on a much grander scale. It's also a class-based MMO. You'd think as a result of this that Planetside would involve more evolved, large-scale tactics and take advantage of class differentiation. But that isn't really true. When you fight over a base in Planetside, you're essentially playing a much longer match of domination from COD, except the gunplay is more like Battlefield. Planetside is already kind of a niche product anyway. I think it's been proven at this point that people who want Battlefield will just play Battlefield, not Planetside. See, this is why Call of Duty clones never work, even though there's many of them. Because everyone just goes and buys Call of Duty because there's basically no chance that that game's going to out-COD COD. Thus, Planetside, rather than settle for being Battlefield but bigger, which you can already do on a 128-player Battlefield server, it should instead embrace being an MMO and design itself accordingly. Most significantly, that means changing the bases, because as it stands, they're basically arenas. Little more tactical finesse than in Battlefield or even COD is needed to fight in these bases, the large facilities being an exception only because of the particular gimmicks of the layout of each base type. We can be above gimmicks, and we can be above battle arenas in Planetside. We can design bases that require coordination and teamwork and class specialization, and that even get rid of spawn camping. Yes, it is entirely possible to do away with the now common chore of sitting around for 5 minutes, trapping the enemy in the spawn room while the timer runs down, which for some reason everybody has just accepted at this point, even though we can do better. And how do we do better? Well, I think we should start from a template of looking at castles. That's what we should look at for inspiration. Medieval castles. Think of the very tip-top of the keep as the spawn room, and then the keep roof, or its top floor, is where we house the control console. The keep itself has defenses and a protected gate. Outside the keep is typically a powerful defensive wall, again with a well-protected gate, and depending on what kind of castle this is, that may be the end of it, or there may be further, lesser defenses beyond it. The key here is that these are defensible structures. You don't play Ring Around the Rosie amongst a bunch of buildings. The attackers breach each defensive wall to get to the keep, while the defenders man the defenses and hold them off. This happens only rarely in Planetside, usually when the terrain allows for it, as bases do not have properly designed defenses around them to actually be used as such, except at the entrances to biolabs, but the interiors of biolabs are not designed like that. They are ring around the rosy battle arenas. Most of the time, all the fighting happens inside the base. And any defending that's going on is usually done by the attacking team once they take a control point and then hold off the defenders who then come to try and take the control point back. So, some specifics as to what I mean by defenses and defensible. Exterior walls at bases should actually be defensible. That means lots of turrets, lots of artillery turrets, and anti-aircraft turrets to hold off aircraft. Hell, I would argue we need autocannons as well for taking out infantry. They should basically be enclosed so that they can't be attacked from the air, and any firing ports should be small enough that incoming fire only kills those firing out of the port and doesn't just let shells sail all the way in and kill everyone inside. The roof and the rear should have some entrances, both so that the defenders can man the defenses and shoot from the roof if they need to, and also so that enemy light assaults can get inside via those entrances. And finally, the only ground entrances through these defenses should be force fields, that only the faction that controls them can pass through. These force fields should be controlled by consoles inside the base that attacking infiltrators can hack and flip the shield to the attacking team's control, allowing the attacking team to pass through that shield, assuming you give infiltrators a suit slot or something so they can pass through enemy shields, and I think you can see where this is going. So, given all of that, this is how you'd take a base if it was designed in this castle sort of way. You would take it by getting to the control point as an infiltrator and spending, say, 30 seconds hacking the control point so that you flip the spawn room to your faction's control. Thus you get the base. The control point should be in the very center of the base, inside all of the defenses, and next to the spawn room, or near to it. To get there, you should have to get past however many defensive rings there are in the base. I would say there needs to be at least 2 in a base. One for the central building where the control point and the spawn room are, the keep of the castle, as it were, and an exterior defense wall. Larger bases can have more rings of defenses, say an exterior and interior wall plus 1 for the control point, or an exterior wall and then 1 defensive ring around each control point at a 3-point base, say. To get past each wall or set of defenses, you have to hack each console that controls each entrance shield through the wall. 1 console for each entrance, of course. Since everyone will likely be watching the entrances for infiltrators, that's where airdrops and light assaults come in. They can get over the walls, so they can clear a path for an infiltrator to get to a console. Once 1 or more entrances are hacked, the heavy assaults and maxes rush in, clear the defenders, and then repeat this process for each layer of defense until they get to the control point and take the base. Maybe you like your arena shooting as we currently have it. I understand. But I think a system like this takes better advantage of Planetside scale and of its class-based design. It encourages coordination. It encourages teamwork. It gets rid of spawn camping. It makes bases actually defensible, thus mitigating zergs, and makes taking a base a challenge, and thus more rewarding. Anybody who's ever played Battlefield 1942 on Omaha Beach as the American team knows what I'm talking about. Add to that the fact that we now have victory conditions, and I think we'd have ourselves not only a more unique FPS, but a better one too.